Saints fans, I am once again asking you to subscribe to our YouTube channel here because we are way behind our Atlanta Falcons one. And the Falcons aren't even a good football team. The more subscribers we get here on all the Chat Sports team channels, the more videos you guys end up getting. So if you want more videos all for free, hit that big red button and subscribe right now. You're watching New Orleans Saints Now. I am host Tom Downey, here to break down the latest going on around New Orleans. And with the NFL trade deadline truly just around the corner, there's a trade rumor out there from fan side that I wanted to explore. And it's on Brandon Aiyuk, the 49ers wide receiver who has, how do I put this delicately, in the doghouse, I think, maybe, for Kyle Shanahan. Now, the Niners' offense in general has not been operating nearly as well as what they were in previous years with Shanahan in charge as the head coach and play caller. But Aiyuk, who had so much hype entering this year after a very promising rookie season, has seen his numbers dwindle fairly significantly. And Aiyuk has not been effective in the return game, and the muffed punt, which still somehow was not a safety. I don't understand it. I get possession, but it just doesn't track logically in my head. Well, he's kind of falling out of favor. But in New Orleans, he might be a key piece because I like Marquez Callaway. He's a keeper, sure. In theory, Michael Thomas, who we'll spend some more time on in a little bit, he'll be back, although I wonder about his long-term future in New Orleans. Then you got Deontay Harris, Ty Montgomery, Kenny Stills. Maybe Traquan Smith will break out now that he's back from IR, but I'm just not quite buying it. The upside for Brandon Aiyuk, I believe, is better than any receiver on the roster outside of Michael Thomas. The issue is his numbers. I mean, you see it right there. They have plummeted this season. Even though he's mostly been healthy, 9 catches, 96 yards, 1 touchdown. Mohamed Sanu is out there getting reps at receiver, and he's basically washed. So the fact that Aiyuk is not playing is very interesting, and it makes me wonder if the Saints would be willing to make a move for Brandon Aiyuk. Now, I don't know what the trade value is, but remember, he was a former first-round pick, so I don't think he would be given away for absolutely nothing. So with that in mind, should the Saints go out and trade for Brandon Aiyuk? This is going to be the pinned comment on today's video. So get the ad break here on YouTube, scroll on down, get your votes in. T for trade or P for pass. For me, if the price is right, I say yes. Now, I'm not moving a second or a third since I don't really have one if I'm New Orleans, but if the Niners want to bail low on Aiyuk right now, I'm all for it. Now, that makes it maybe a bit unlikely a deal actually goes down, but I would have interest if I were New Orleans to see that, hey, maybe the Niners would give up the guy that showed so much promise in 2020. That season, of course, by the way, 60 catches, 748 yards. Yards after catch was almost 300, and he had 5 touchdowns. Now, I do think part of the issues for Aiyuk is not just he's in doghouse, it's that he's not playing that well. He's not operating nearly as good as what he was last season. But I also look at what the Saints have at receiver. And let's be honest, guys, it ain't pretty. And look, Alvin Kamara, Adam Trotman, not mentioned on here, even though those two are really kind of your lead options or lead-ish options, namely Kamara there. But Marquez Callaway, 16 catches, 254 and 3 scores. Not terrible, but that's not number one production. Ty Montgomery is playing, but he's not good. Deontay Harris offers some vertical threat, but those guys aren't legit options. Now, if Michael Thomas comes back at some point, which I think he does, and maybe in the near future, and he emerges as that true number one receiver, yay, awesome, that's good. But even beyond Thomas, I'd still be looking for some more options. I like Marquez Callaway, but isn't he maybe more of a number 3? Than a full-fledged number 2, even with Alvin Kamara and Trotman being key parts of the offense? Why not call about Brandon Aiyuk and see what they say to you in response? If you guys want more Saints videos, as I mentioned, all you have to do is subscribe. We are here almost every single day breaking down the news, the rumors, whatever else is going on around the New Orleans Saints. So hit that big red button, guys. If you're watching somewhere other than YouTube for whatever reason, it's youtube.com/Saints Today. But it's pretty simple. If you're watching on YouTube, which I think like 99.9% of you guys are, hit the big red button right now. Let's go to some bad news for the Saints. Andrus Peat, the left guard, appears he's going to be out for the year. The fear, not officially confirmed as we sit here filming this, but these things often end up being accurate, is that he tore his pec against the Seahawks on Monday Night Football. The Saints, who had dealt with injury issues earlier this year along the offensive line, now I think going to be without one of their higher-paid players in Peat. Calvin Throckmorton, more on him coming up in a little bit, is likely to be the next man up at offensive guard. And I'll make note that Throckmorton has played plenty this year because, remember, Eric McCoy had missed time this season. With Cesar Ruiz subbing in at center now, and he's back at guard, so it's fine. Throckmorton's been like your super swing guard at this point. He gets to step up at left guard. He wasn't bad, I don't believe, when McCoy was out. No sacks allowed is always valuable, of course, as well. But I wouldn't consider Throckmorton like an elite offensive guard. I think as a fill-in, he's fine. I thought he's a decent player at Oregon. They had a very good offensive line the last year he was there. So I'm okay with Throckmorton filling in. But make no mistake, it's a downgrade for the Saints. So how concerned are you with the offensive line? Scale it for me 1 to 100. 1 being you're just absolutely in full-fledged meltdown mode. 100 being I said that terribly wrong. Let's reset. 1 being that you're not worried at all. 100 being you're absolutely freaking out. I'm actually going to go with a lower number. I'm going to go with 4. That's where I'm at for the Saints. And maybe 4 is a bit on the low end, but I'm not that concerned. I thought Peat of the offensive lineman, maybe the worst of the bunch. And that's not like a negative thing because that whole line's really good. But they still have good pieces on the offensive line. And when McCoy was out, who I think is better than Peat, they fared just as well. They were still winning games, being competitive. And not only that, the Saints have a bunch of good pieces on this offensive line. They have Taron Armstead, who is one of the premier left tackles, who's also now healthy. So as long as there are no more injuries, the Saints should be okay. They've got Ryan Ramczyk out there as well, who is one of, if not the best right tackle in the NFL. And oh, by the way, you can go find some options out there in free agency if you needed to, or in the trade market. So here's some extra Andrus Peat replacements. David DeCastro, big name, but he's a right guard. So maybe at his age, plus his own injury issues, he doesn't want to come back to the NFL for some change. Maybe a long shot there. How about a familiar face? How about Nick Easton, who has spent time with New Orleans? And if he's your backup guard, I feel just fine about it from that perspective. How about Kelechi Osemele, who is a veteran guard who's played on left side before? Injuries have been an issue. If you want to bring in one of those guys, I got no complaints about that. You can even go shop for a trade here. How about Josh Andrews, who has been benched by Atlanta? He's not that good, but his depth, sure. Miami has been consistently shuffling their offensive line, but Solomon Kinley, who started games for them last year, hasn't really been a factor, but maybe he's great depth. Or if you want to go get a potential starter, how about Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, the Chiefs guard, who is a backup right now. Now, that one would probably have to be a player-for-player trade, but the reason why I'm not that concerned right now around the Andrus Peat injury, even though it is a big deal, is there are options in free agency on the Saints roster and in the trade market. The Saints team, I still think, will be okay with Peat out.